Hi guys, so in today's video we're going to talk about mental health, mental illness. Today I'm not going to discuss about it alone. I am joined by one fine gentleman and he's going to introduce himself.
Thank you. My name is Edwin Mulandi. I'm a psychiatrist by profession and I'm glad to be here.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
Edwin,
Yes.
in today's video we want to understand more about mental health, mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And in today's society we have so many, can I say, false information about mental illness. For instance, if someone has stress or is depressed in a high level, you get to understand. Some people say that they're mentally ill. So help us understand what exactly is mental health, what exactly is mental illness.
Well, thank you for that. Generally, mental health, I would say, is it's a psychological indifference in terms of how you do your daily deeds or your daily pattern, or how you do your daily things. What do I mean by that? It alters your behavior and also your thinking in how you respond to the things that you used to do normally.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how generally I would define that.
Okay.
Yes.
So mental illness is actually how we run our day-to-day lives.
Exactly.
Okay. Now that you've answered what mental health is,
Mhm.
how can I or someone tell if another person or they themselves have a mental health problem?
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that I would really point out is, you see, every day when you wake up, you always have a daily schedule, right?
Yeah.
There's what you do, what you don't do. So when you start noticing that probably what I used to do, I don't do it like I used to do anymore. One, change of pattern of what you used to do. It's not like, normal again. Two, things that you're interested in. You're no longer interested in them. Probably you used to love probably baking, reading. You're not interested in that anymore. And also getting agitated early. You get so much agitated, you respond too much, things that really in the past didn't really have that much impact on you. Right now you feel like you're reacting too much to that. That's symptoms of, it's a sign that probably you could have a mental illness. Yes.
Okay.
One thing we need to understand is, if it's a mental health, it needs to be a negative.
Oh, okay.
Yes, a change negatively.
Okay.
Yes, you can't really define a change positively as a mental health, because generally we all need to adapt to the different environments.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing we need to also understand is, there's also the behavioral changes of a human being.
Yes.
What do I mean by that? There's environmental factors that actually affect that. Like the normals of the female, cycle and all that. That is normal.
Okay.
But now when you see an incident whereby probably there is you brought up a case of short tempered.
Yes.
There's triggers that trigger that, right?
Okay.
So one of the things that we really insist so much is, first we need to understand the underlying issue. Where did this come from? Is it something that you had before, or is it something that started right now? Because you find, because of our current nature, the working state and everything, it's so easy for us to get stressed out. So, and there's a bit difference between, getting stressed up, which is a normal thing, and probably, get fall into something like depression also. Yes.
Okay. Now, the other one I would want to ask is, now that I have noticed, or I have noted that someone is probably mental ill. Okay, fine. I may not be able to diagnose it because I'm not a medic. But let's say you've just noted that they have changed according to what you've explained. How am I able to help that person?
Based on what you know about that person, I believe if you are able to notice something from person, this ideally means that this someone probably related for long.
Yes.
And this someone you might have seen, he used to do this, and there's an altered change in behavior of that. So one of the things you need to understand is, where is this coming from? One of the biggest steps you can actually be there for them. Listen to them first, as the first aid. I would call it a first aid, because that's the first meditation you can actually help them. So be there for them, try to analyze, where is it coming from? If someone is showing so much anger, try to understand, is it the normal anger? Is it stressed up? Try to evaluate his life. What is happening in his life, Support group. Be a supportive system for that person. If someone close to you, be a supportive. If not, someone is close to you, please be at a free will to actually refer that someone to somebody who can actually probably, share. Yes.
Okay. speaking of being a support system, we have seen cases of where people are now committing suicide. It's actually happening so much in our country here in Kenya. Now the question is, I might be a close friend to someone, but they're not willing to share with me what they're going through. How can I get them to open up to me? Because we have people who are naturally enclosed. They don't want to share their problems, their troubles with someone else. How myself as a person, their friend, how can I get them to open up to me?
Well, it's true. I mean, currently, I mean, the statistics are alarming, because currently, like you said, people are really committed to suicide, and it's the pressure, currently, based on the COVID, the work, school, and there's pressure everywhere.
Yeah.
And you see, sometimes it becomes an overwhelming for human beings, and you can only reach to some people, you can only take it out.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a right channel to vent it out, it's easy for you to look for easy way out. What am I saying the easy way out? Because journeying through emotional journeying through, stress, journeying through those triggers is not easy. And sometimes people tend to give up. That's why I would, say a better, easy way out. Probably ending my life is the best option, but it's not. That's one I need to state categorically. It's not clear. It's not right to actually, seek for that. So how do you help such a person? One of the things that you need to understand is, if this someone is close to you or probably is not at a free will to open to you, please always have contacts, whereby if this person is not comfortable sharing with me, who is he close to? Who the person can I actually contact? That's one. Two, provide an environment that is easy for him. I'll give an example, probably like a married couple, probably, he's stressed up at work, the husband is stressed up at work, probably the wife is a homestay wife, right? So the husband is stressed out at work, and he goes home, the wife is also there, straight also, she's also stressed up, she also she also has need her time,
Yeah.
so there's no that conducive environment for this young man.
Okay.
What happens? This young man will build up all those emotions, and eventually that result to probably an addiction, and if he's not into drugs, into those kind of addiction, it probably end his life, right? Because the environment is not conducive, is not welcoming. But once there is that creative environment where someone can actually feel safe, that's the first step to actually helping this person open up to you, because you'll feel comfortable. Remember, the whole point of this is trying to make someone feel comfortable enough to actually share.
Okay.
Yes.
Somewhere you mentioned that the husband might be stressed. Can you tell us the difference between stress and depression?
That's a very great question, actually. So stress is whereby you get conducive, rather not really conducive, but you get you're troubled by a specific issue, by a specific. I need to know that by a specific issue, right?
Okay.
While depression is whereby it's a continuous, persistent feeling of loneliness, or rather weak, not really motivated, over a duration of time. Arguably, for someone to be diagnosed with depression, these feelings must be considered for around 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yes. And you need to understand that this is a build-up of emotions, of things that build up until to a specific time, right? But for stress, these are the normal things, probably we're working with you, then I didn't meet my target, so I get you into trouble, I'll stress you up. Why? Because that specific issue I didn't do, right? But now, if probably I'm facing a financial issue, right? At home there's no food, my kids have been sent home from school, my wife has left me because of things are hard. My parents also need money. So this build up will result to depression, right? Yes.
Okay, so let me ask, in the state of what is happening right now, we are in the third wave of COVID-19, and you get that people were fired or were let go from their jobs the first time that it happened, and then we laid issues and rules, and then they came back to work, and now they have been let go again. Now you find someone like that is troubled, and they have been troubled. Let's say someone lost their job during the first time, they haven't found any yet, and when they were almost getting something to do, now the rules have come again, the lockdown is back. Is someone like that stressed or depressed?
Well, it depends on how he actually responds to that. Why do I say that? Because one of the things that really come out clearly, especially during this time, is that if someone has been laid off, like you said, then back for a period of time, then off again. One of the things that you realize is, one, if someone either the level of drinking has increased, probably there's so much alcohol intake, there's so much domestic violence, so that is a build up. So that actually is a result of depression. So yes, you can result that as a depression.
As a depression.
Yes.
Okay, we hear when you mention drinking, most, let's say, like men tend to say that they can't talk to someone about their problems. They would rather go have a drink and go home, and they're okay. Does that really help?
No, it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all, at all, at all.
Okay.
In fact, that's a masculinity syndrome, which is a very wrong. But again, it's the society expectation that has really built up this men like that, which is very wrong, because men are dying out there, emotionally, because they have no way to vent it out, because they are afraid I'll be seen, I'm weak, I'm not a strong man enough to actually, handle my things, But I would really urge all the men out there, please, if you have somebody you can talk to, please feel free to let it out. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you less of who you are. In fact, if anything, it makes you more bold than anybody else.
Okay,
Yes.
well, I hope they had. I think you can repeat that.
Yes. Yes, they did. Men, please take responsibility of your life, of your health, your mental stability. Because if you want these ladies, if you want your children, if you want the society to respect you, you need to be there for the next generation. You need to be able to make the wise, sober decision. That means that you need to actually take care of yourself, your mental well-being. Counts a lot on that.
Well, I hope they had that.
Please do.
Now, my other question is,
yes,
is mental health genetic?
To some extent, yes.
It is.
To some extent, yes, but that's not the only cause of mental health. But yes, it plays it can play a role in that, in the sense that probably like in the case probably you've grown in a home whereby all you've seen is, all you know is your parents fighting, all you've seen is your parents fighting, and it kind of builds you to that's all you know, right? And eventually that's all you become. So that's an attribute on that. But that alone, having said that, is not a guarantee that 100% that will affect you, because at the end of the day, it's a personal decision that someone makes. What do I mean by that? There are other factors that actually contribute to that, like the environment where you are. If you have pre-existing conditions, like bipolar conditions, that can actually, increase your chances of actually developing other disorders, drug usage and all that. Okay. Yeah, but it's a very debatable, discussion about the genetic aspect. But yeah, there's some degree that it actually can affect that. Yes.
Okay, so people should stop blaming their parents for what they're actually doing now if it's wrong. For instance, if someone is abusive and their father was abusive, they should stop blaming it on their father.
And work on themselves, yeah.
And work on themselves.
Exactly.
Okay, got you. Okay, now the other thing is, can I tell if someone is suicidal? Or can someone tell if someone is suicidal? Is it possible?
I mean, if I tell you, would you know? If I come and tell you I'm suicidal.
See, this is the thing. We all get these talks or where someone can say, you know what, this life is hard, I just feel like dying. Should I take that like a threat?
Yes.
Because this is someone that maybe we have related for a long time. They never showed any sign of mental illness or actually causing any damage to themselves. But at this point when life is tough, they have said that. Should I just take it like the usual talks that people do?
No, in fact, any statement regarding to somebody to committing suicide or self-harm should not be taken lightly. Whether it's a joke, whether it's on a lighter note, whether it's never be taken as a joke, right? Because the funny part, rather not really the funny part, but one of the things that has come out, over the past, is that people actually communicate when they're about to commit suicide, right? They actually let you know.
They do.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what do I mean? One, through the actions. If someone was, jovial, all of a sudden it's just enclosed, not disinterested in life. It tells I don't like life. I don't care about life. And if you care enough, you would actually notice this someone detaching from this community, from the society. So you need to take actual measures from that. They may not come and tell you directly, I want to die, I want to commit suicide. No,
Yeah.
but they'll build up statements, like that to show that really this somebody is actually touching a lot, because things he's never interested in anything anymore. That's one. Two, if someone starts showing chances of self-harm, and this is quite common, you would start probably cutting in fact most of them cut their fists. They start by cutting their fist. I just need to feel that pain. It proceeds, the pain in the fist is no longer that much, so I'll go where, to my hands, to my body. In extreme, it will lead up to
What happens, because right now if I was told to take a knife or something and cut myself, I wouldn't. So what happens in the mind that they're actually doing it and not feeling the pain?
because the fight, it's a mental fight whereby they feel that a position whereby the society, the pressure of life is too much for them to bear, that they need to actually feel something different from that. Yeah, that's one. They really feel that there's so much weight on them that they really can't take it anymore. And the only way that they will feel alive is actually they feel a different thing out of that.
No, that is the pain.
That's the thing. It will make them still, I'm still alive. Probably I'm still feeling pain, so I'm no longer thinking of that. So it's always a way of probably of diverting their thoughts, their feelings, their emotion from that reality, and detach it. That's why you find if they start, it's so hard to actually for them to stop, because they will actually start enjoying that now. Yes.
Let's say I'm mentally ill. Is it possible for me as an individual to identify that I'm actually mentally ill?
Well, you may not really identify it clearly that you're mentally ill, but you may notice the changes, in terms of who you are. Because, like I said, you always have your duties, all your responsibilities, these things that you used to do, and there's always the schedule that you used to do as a person. So once you start noticing that that's changing, once you start noticing, especially, and I stress this a lot, things that you actually enjoy doing, you're no longer interested in them. Company, friends, hobbies, you're no longer interested in that.
Yeah.
It should start something like an alarm for you. And it's always good to have that assessment. And I probably need to point it out. Being mentally ill doesn't make you mad, doesn't make you a abnormal person or abnormal human being. It just makes you, you actually recognize that you're undergoing something and you need help for that. Because the truth is, mental health most of the mental illness have cure.
Okay.
Yes.
So how does it get to the people we see on the street walking without clothes, or the people who are actually in mental illness facilities? How does it get there?
It's a psychiatric diagnosis, whereby most of them, I wouldn't really want to say most of them, but the induction of drugs. You see, when someone is intoxicated, he loses the normal being. So he's no longer taking care of the brain. So the brain is he's no longer in control of the brain, but the brain is in control of the person, right? So if you're intoxicated and the brain tells you know what, probably okay, naked is a new big thing, and you're not in a position to control that. So that continue usage probably of drug, it detaches you from the reality of who you are, and now it already started convincing you that how you feel is the normal. So now, if you're not when you are sober, then you see everybody, as abnormal. So you need to go back to those drugs so that now you can feel the normalcy that you already created in the idea. Because it creates a lot of hallucinations, there's a lot of fantasies, and those now create the new reality, which now you feel like you interpret as this is the real thing now. So that could be one of the things that actually, happens to this. Another thing, there are other pre-existing diseases actually can contribute to this, like cerebral malaria. If not really treated, it actually alters the brain function. So most of these scenarios you actually see out there, there's always an underlying issue that actually led there. They just didn't wake up one day, and
Okay, and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
started working
yeah.
naked or collecting papers or
Mhm.
doing all that.
Yeah,
Okay.
if noticed early, it can be amended.
Okay.
Even them, as you see them, their hope is not lost.
Well, apart from finding someone and talking to them,
Mhm.
what is the other common way of starting treating
Mhm.
mental illness at an early stage?
Well, one of the things that I would actually recommend is that if first you actually recognize that you're actually facing differences or changes in your mental health, please get diagnosed first.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean by diagnosed? It's always visit a therapist, a psychologist, or psychiatrist. But in this case, I would prefer a psychologist so that you can be diagnosed.
No, as an individual, without even seeking those professional help,
Mhm.
how can I help myself at that point?
Mhm.
Yes.
One of the things I call positive positivity in life. Rather, I would say positive cognitive.
Mm-hmm.
Living. What do I mean by that? Um, just because you're undergoing something, trouble doesn't have to define who you are, right? So one of the things that I actually encourage people is don't allow your current situation to determine your future.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean by that? Don't make permanent decisions based on temporary situations. That will imply with also your personal life. Yes, you're going through something,
Yeah.
but you're still hopeful, right? That there can be a better tomorrow.
Okay.
So things that actually matter to you, focus on that. Align yourself with people that matter to you. If you feel like when I stay alone, I'm kind of so much thoughts, I feel troubled. Don't give yourself that room to stay alone. Find yourself an environment where you are just around people you actually care about you or that you care about. You don't have to share them with anything.
Mm-hmm.
But that environment alone, it's a therapy. It's a
Okay.
therapy on its own, right? Two, give yourself time. Give yourself time to actually think things through.
Okay.
Is you see, one of the things that actually come out is that we really tend to overreact, rather than actually reason out
And overthink.
and
As well.
overthink,
Yeah.
other than actually taking time to actually analyze the situations. Yes, things are hard, and actually telling somebody, instead, sit down and start thinking, be like, hey, you want me to sit down and start thinking and I'm supposed to actually be working. All I'm saying is take your time first, take your time to self-meditate on your own, try to analyze what it is that I'm actually going through. What are the issues? Because most of the time you find that you're so bothered, but really if you sit actually down and analyze the situation, it's something that we can actually control,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day it's not something that is beyond our control, but because how we have already, maximize it, in our minds, and how you've already surrounded yourself with that issue that, everywhere you go, these are what, everybody's talking about how life is hard, how things are hard, how life. So that continuous environment that you actually feed yourself in is what you actually produce. So you need to actually take time, feed yourself on a positive energy, feed yourself on things that actually care about you. Then the production will be different. One last thing is avoid triggers. Yeah, avoid triggers. By triggers actually mean like the news. I mean, when was the last time you actually had something news from something positive in the news?
It's very rare
You get?
nowadays. Yeah.
So you can imagine I'm so stressed up, work and everything. I go home, the first thing I do is turn on my TV and all I see is chaos,
COVID,
chaos,
people
chaos.
dying. Yes.
It builds up. So that's a trigger to you. So even when you go to sleep, even if you're just thinking, all you think about, why is this all this happening? So avoid such triggers. People, things, environment, that trigger you to, rather remind you to actually what you're going through, one, or other, direct you to the path that you actually try to overcome. Those are things that you actually need to avoid. Yes.
Interesting. So that concludes actually our discussion today, and thank you so much. So maybe you can tell our viewers anything concerning what is actually happening right now, the COVID-19, the situation that we are in, and what we have been talking about.
Thank you for this. One phrase that I always work with, as a person, is it's okay not to be okay. Based on the current situation of the country, there's so much that is happening right now, and we are actually on the verge of breaking down. Everybody feels that they've had enough, but I'm here to tell you that all hope is not lost. You know, we all need to just keep pushing along. Let's keep on taking care of ourselves. Let's keep on focusing on what matters most. That is our well-being, our mental capacity. That's the only way we can beat this. And one last thing is, let's be a brother's keeper. Let's not notice something about your brother, your sister, your friend, your neighbor that is out of the normalcy. Please, if you note something, please reach out. If you can reach out, there are always contacts, there are always spaces whereby you can actually, um, refer these people to, and they can get the help they require. We all need a stronger society. We shall overcome this, and we shall see the end of the success for you. Thank you.
Okay, I like that. It's okay not to be okay. It's a very common used phrase, but it's actually powerful. We misuse it sometimes, but it's actually okay not to be okay. Yeah. I like that. So that's the end of this video for today. I hope we shall see him, much of him actually, in our videos. And thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.